It took one man, Napoleon Hill, under the direction of Andrew Carnegie, over 20 years to write this single book, which contains the combined knowledge of over 500 successful men. Still considered one of the most influential books of all time, this training breaks down the parts of this what to do and how to do it masterpiece. In this training, you will also learn the 5-step self-confidence formula, which starts with demanding of yourself persistent action towards the attainment of your goals. You will learn the 6 steps of achieving riches as discovered by Hill in his research. If you have never read the book, you should. But in the meantime, you will glean some of the most important information contained in it with this training.
You know, if you are not familiar with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, it is one of the most influential books of all time and most well-known and well-read books on success ever published. And it took one man interviewing over 500 others over the course of 20 years. 20 years to write a single book. I mean, that one fact right there should make anyone want to read it. You know, what book takes 20 years to write? Well, this one did. And it did so because it took a lot of time to interview and talk to a lot of very successful and influential people over the course of that 20-year period to find out what was it that got them to their place in life. So Napoleon Hill talked to people from all walks of life, and, you know, to find out what was it. And what he found was there were a lot of common denominators. There was a common thread or common habits or common worth ethics that were the common thread to many, many of these people that he interviewed. And so he was amazed by this, and when he set out to, you know, compile this book, you know, a lot of these insights were taught in the form of stories and lessons you know, that you can read in this incredible book. So if you've never read it, I highly recommend it to everybody, and I recommend you read it once a year. It was inspired by Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie, for those of you who probably know, if you don't, I mean, he was a steel magnate back in, you know, the early part of the 19th century and had incredible success in the steel industry, and that's where he basically made his fortune. He was an incredible man, and it was his idea to kind of form this work and hire somebody to do it. And so we hired Hill to do it. And as I said, this, you know, it was over 500 successful, wealthy men that he's talked to over this 20-year period to find out, including Andrew Carnegie, of course, what it was that got him to that point. So, as I said, it took, you know, that amount of research and time to write. And the principles of this book have been applied by many, many thousands of people over the years, all over the globe, and continue to do so every single day. And it's that important. And I think a lot of the principles that you're going to hear about here really make a lot of sense, you know, and there may be even a light bulb moment or two during the webinar for you. So if so, I highly wish that for you. Basically what the book is it's a what to do and a how to do it book. And, you know, what better sort of, you know, guidebook could you possibly need than something that tells you exactly what you need to do and how to go about doing it. And then really the rest is up to the individual to take heed of the advice that's being given to them by reading the book. And in our case, you know, we're going to get a lot of that great information without having to read it tonight. So here we dive right in. So first thing that Hill talks about is the fact that so many of these people had success, but way before they had success, they had thought about success and how they wanted to become successful and how it was a prevailing thought. Key point, prevailing thought in their consciousness from a very, you know, at a certain point in time. For some people it was longer than others. For other people it took a while before they finally were able to direct their thoughts in this fashion and really begin to understand that, you know, I'm going to be successful. It's not if, it's when, you know, and make that commitment. From the time that commitment is made and the thoughts just begin to pour forth, and, you know, you start getting ideas and little things start to nudge you in the right direction as you go forth. And the reason that happens is because you have come up with a very clear roadmap, a very focused goal that will bring you to your end result. And that is exactly what he is talking about throughout all of these stories in the book and all the information. And thoughts or things are a huge one. Now, obviously nothing, and this is true of anything, nothing can come about unless it is first conceived of, and of course it's conceived in the mind of man, right? It's conceived in our minds and our thoughts. We have to think of something before we can make it happen, either an action or a creation, right? But everything is sort of the creative process. And that's another key point here is, thoughts are the starting point of the creative process. You cannot have a physical product as a initial step in the creative process. No, it's the end result. If somebody wants to build a cell phone, well, guess what? If I want it to look like this and work like this and do these certain things, I got to first think of that before I even get to the people that are going to engineer and design it and program it and build it, right? So everything, and everything around you, just look around, was thought of by someone, whether it was the design of a picture frame on the wall or the thought of the photographer who sat behind the lens before he snapped it, or the person or the company that created the clock or the light or the chair you're sitting in, right? Everything was conceived of in someone's mind first, and it's no different than anything else that we wish to achieve. We have to think about it first, and so that's the first really important key point here, is to understand this. Now, you got to remember, this is a universal law. It's not somebody's opinion. This is universal law, and common sense will bear this out every single time. You can't have something without it being thought of in the first place. It had to something had to set in motion certain actions to produce certain results. Okay? Universal law. Not an opinion, not works sometimes. No, works all the time, every time, period. All achievement, of course, then, and all earned riches or all inventions or all anything have their beginnings in a single idea, in a single thought. And that thought has that spark occurs at a point in time. And from that time forward, if we direct our thoughts towards the realistic achievement through certain actions of that getting to that result, it will happen in whatever time frame it happens in. Some things will take shorter, other things will take longer, right? It depends on what the goal is. You can't build a 100-story building in a week, but you can in a year. Realistic goal. Can it happen? Sure it can, but not in a day. So think about it that way. Okay? So remember that everything starts with this idea. Any achievement we want to have, anything we want to be or to do, or however much income we want to earn, we've got to know what that is. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit more specifically. Now, if you are ready to learn more about this, you are halfway there. You're halfway to basically harnessing the power of everything that was learned by Napoleon over this 20 or more year period through the course of his research. Okay? And so the same thing now can benefit every single one of us. Okay? So if we're ready to continue, let's move on. I've said this time and time again, and this is borne out again by Napoleon Hill, and you're probably sick and tired of hearing about it. And if you're doing it, great, then you can just ignore what I'm saying, and great job. But if you're not doing this, then you need to start. And that is, of course, working on your own personal achievement and your personal growth. If we want to personally achieve anything, doesn't matter what. Remember, every single thing, anything, any result, any action, any goal starts somewhere. It starts with a thought, and that thought basically produces in us a desire to achieve whatever it is that we've set out for, right? We desire something. We desire new clothes. We desire a new house. We desire a new car. We desire a new whatever, right? There's things that we desire. It could be something simple. Maybe you want a new monitor for the computer. Oh, I got a new monitor. I want a bigger monitor. Maybe you want a second monitor to be doubly productive. I added one to my system here recently, and wow, I'm so annoyed I didn't do it sooner. A few months ago I did it, maybe 5-6 months ago, and I'm like, you know what, man, it's great. You got one thing on one, email on one, web on the other, or whatever, however you work. But anyway, point is, desire is the starting point. Okay? Next, and this is a biggie, and if you're a religious person, it'll be a lot easier for you than maybe someone who is not, but faith has a large part to do with it. You've got to have faith that whatever it is that you desire is possible. If you don't think it's possible, well, guess what? Step two, you're already killing yourself. If you already think, I don't think that's possible, you're defeated already. So you have to have absolute certainty and faith that whatever it is that you want to achieve is possible, and not only possible, it's doable, and you're going to make it happen. Doesn't matter what, that's what's going to happen.